choose to decide to wear your uniform. Again, my stance is I salute what Fort Worth is doing because as of right now, they are the only city that has authorized their policemen and women to dress out in uniform. There's nobody in the country who's doing it. And again, that doesn't mean that you don't have churches with armed security.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the police and having them dress out as a deterrent for those who might want to walk into a church and decide to do what this young man did,
You know, this
maybe
could be
you're
a
gonna
good
think twice.
business. Church, you provide church security. Like you could hire plain clothes people to come and sit in your church and be your security team.
Well, yeah, because we do have, and I'm sure in all states, because that's why you have security. You have what they call non-commissioned and commissioned
Yeah.
security officers. Those who can.
Hey, I just gave somebody a business idea.
Well, that ideal is already out there because
What
what
for
normally happens
churches?
is, well, what I'm saying is that now maybe those companies who are already in the security business can now advertise
Yeah.
to bigger churches. Now, here's where their problem is going to happen, or you might see churches are hesitant to hire, you know, security services. We're looking at the financial side of it,
Sure.
because
But
the only people that
you
are
can't put a price on safety.
well, that sounds good, but we just come from instance, my parents' church, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to afford
Can't
a
can't put a price on safety.
right. You say that, but again, the church is not going to broke. That's what I'm saying. The church, if they can't financially able to do it, they're just not going to do it. Hence the
Sure.
reason why you have your in-house security
Mm-hmm.
who have their license to carry, um, who are trained on how using a gun. And so that's why I said, it's a great ideal in theory,
Mm-hmm.
but I can see why security services pretty much don't target churches. And I'm not saying that they're not security services who are probably at church, but 9 times out of 10, when you see a security service, let's be true, they're monitoring the outside of the church. They're guarding at nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
that type of thing. But as far as in church
Well,
as a
now,
security protector of the people,
right. But I mean, things are changing because we're having more and more church shootings. So I feel like the attitudes or the thinking is going to change because things are changing. You may not be able to afford it, but you may um, find some way to do it. Maybe you just do it for large Sundays, or I don't know. Just
yeah,
saying,
maybe,
it's a good business idea
yeah, it's definitely a good business idea. I mean, again,
to
you know,
offer
what,
plain clothes security for your services.
right.
I mean, you could hire mourners for your funeral. Why can't you hire? Why can't you hire security?
Yeah, I mean,
You could hire. You literally can hire people to come and cry and wail at your funeral. They, yeah, they're called mourners. You can hire them. So if you
okay.
can do that, if you can hire a date, as far as escort services, you can hire mourners for a funeral. Why can't you hire plain old
Security.
security
Well,
for a church?
well, I'm just saying you do have churches that hire security. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like it's new. What I'm saying is from a financial stance,
Well, yeah. I mean, you
it's
have to take that
cheaper
in. Yeah.
to have
To have your
your
security
people in
team.
home who
Yeah.
already have the license to carry, their license to have a gun on them, you
Well,
know,
churches may now start um,
considering gun training.
offering uh, concealed weapon training or self defense training because of stuff like this. I mean, hey, these churchgoers were also gun carriers, but we are in a state that allows it. Other states, they may find a way to, say, hey, we're going to pay to train 3 people to take the concealed weapon class,
Mm-hmm.
and you never know, that may be part of a church budget now to say we're going to have plainclothes gun carriers every Sunday in service.
Right. I think it will be
Right now, I think it's
a
the
separate
practical
ministry.
thing. Yeah, it's the practical thing to do. I knew when church shootings started, I started carrying the church. And I told my pastor that I was carrying. He was like, well, you know, you're not the only one. He was like, I'm the only one who knows who's carrying them.
Right. Well, of course, you go
I
tell your
was
pastor.
open to say, hey, no, you're not. Because you don't want to not tell people to come in, but you don't also want to be like the 9 in South Carolina. Where you're just, it's like you're sitting ducks because you don't want to tell people, hey, why are you here? Let's pat you down. But,
Well, let's be realistic. You know, people start targeting churches because they are least likely to
right.
have something of this type of nature
right.
going on in the church.
Right.
Now, I've always had, again, men and women proactive because, again, before in the state of Texas, before you had open carry, again, I know a brother right now before this was ever made law, made sure he was always carried.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that what you always needed, if you're going to do this, because they're going to find out, well, do you have a permit, to even carry? Before, the open carry here in Texas was ever law. And again, like I said, shout out to Fort Worth because at least you're taking some sort of step
right.
to deter,
to bring some level of protection for
right,
churchgoers.
Now, again, we can't control and don't know how people who are not in the right mind
right.
are going to act. But I'm more than sure that if you decide to walk up in the church and you just happen to see 2 or 3 officers, you might think twice about targeting that church. Now, again, the dynamic here was a little bit different because this was not random.
No.
This was a man who was going to the church,
right.
who reached out for assistance and didn't get assistance for whatever reason. So his motive for shooting was totally different than somebody just said, you know what, I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I just want to go up into this church. I don't know these folks, and I'm going to shoot the church up anyway. You get what I'm saying? It was just totally different situation, which leads to this before we move on to our next topic. I would like to know what was the reasons behind not having this young man. Was he a drug addict? Was he a criminal? What went on? Because now what churches also have to look at is this guy was so upset that I didn't get assistance. What is stopping the next man or woman who have reached the end of their line and I've come to you guys, this is my situation, and you can't help me. So now churches have to say, we might need to rethink how we assist folks, especially if you're able to assist people. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, we don't know the financial situation of White Settlement. But the fact remained that this was not random.
Right.
This was not a random act of violence where somebody just said, well, you know what, I just want to come in here and shoot y'all up.
Right.
So now churches have to say, well, how do we prevent this from happening? What can we do to make sure this doesn't happen to us?
Have a security team.
Yeah, you can have a security team.
You need to have a security team because, like you say, maybe they couldn't help him with his request. It's not that they didn't want to. Maybe they couldn't help him. And so because I couldn't help you, that gives you the right to come and shoot up my church?
I don't give you the right.
No, that's
but he felt so upset.
He felt so upset or so entitled by it that he decided to retaliate against the church.
Mm-hmm.
So like you say, we don't know. First of all, we don't know what the request was. We don't know what the financial state of the church is. We don't know the history because maybe he had requested many times help before, and so this the one to say, hey, we don't have it for you.
Well, no, they never helped him. What the come out is, uh,
but we don't know why. Even if they didn't, we don't know why.
right? That's what I'm saying.
That's
We just don't
we
know.
don't know. It could they
You know why they
been
did the
asking
system.
for
That's what I'm saying.
$10,000, and they're like, we don't have
Right.
10,000.
That's what I'm saying.
But you know, it's the church is the people, is not the building, and so the people have a right to help in the manner in which also have the right to worship their God in relative safety.
I agree.
And so if that means, hey, we're designating 2 or 3 people to take the concealed weapons class, make sure you're proficient in your targeting, and you shoot to kill. We don't shoot to disarm here. We're shooting to kill. You come up in the house of the Lord with your anger, we're going to shoot to kill here. We're not shooting to disarm.
Okay. So listen, with that being said, for those of you who might have comments who are watching us on our live stream service, let us know what you think about it. Again, the Fort Worth Chief of Police has authorized its police officers to dress in full uniform attending religious services. And so we want to know what you think about it. So drop your comment on our YouTube channel, drop your comment on our Facebook, and also drop your comment on our I'm going to say Sparrow on our Periscope, aka Twitter, damn it. And let us know what you think about that. Also, with that being said, let's go on and keep it moving. Because Silver's over here looking like. So, what's the next conversation? Listen, we're also going to jump into what's going on with Tavis Smiley. To get you guys caught up, Tavis Smiley was released from his contract over what? It's been about 2 years ago.
I think so.
Maybe close to 2 years ago. And, you know, he had a show with PBS.
Mm-hmm.
And allegations in the midst of this Me Too movement that he had basically assaulted women.
Yeah, inappropriate sexual conduct, relationships.
So here we go. Tavis Smiley is alleged
misconduct.
Sexual misconduct exposed in a 500-page PBS report. Let me say that again. PBS went so far as to drop a 500-page report, basically, I guess, detailing Tavis Smiley misconduct over the years. Now, with that being said, Tavis Smiley, being the strong black man he is, he's not letting that go without a fight. And so it says that former PBS talk show host Tavis Smiley responded on Friday to details that were made public from an independent investigator report citing allegations of sexual misconduct as part of an ongoing case between his media company and PBS. The story goes on to say that Smiley posted to Facebook that a weak case you play in the press, a strong case you play out in a court of law.
Right.
I look forward to my day in court, February the 10th, which I have finally seen granted after 2 years of fighting. The story also goes on to say that it seems the war between talk show host Tavis Smiley and his former employer PBS is heating up and taking a very public turn of events. Details of Smiley's sexual misconduct accusations at PBS have been outlined in a shocking new report that was filed by Smiley's lawyers as part of an ongoing court case. It says the 500-page report put together by an investigator hired by PBS was unsealed and detailed several incidents dating back decades. Let me say that again, decades. It provides insight into allegations of consensual sexual relationships with subordinate, inappropriate comments, touching, and verbal abuse, according to Variety. It also says that in the report, numerous women, both subordinate, a Smiley, and a show guest, claimed they had sexual relationships with him. In one example, Smiley is said to have he invited a former female employee to lunch where he asked her a slew of intimate questions, including if she had a boyfriend. Then, while back at the office, he allegedly offered to take her to Victoria's Secrets after asking about her bra size so he could buy you some stuff, some panties, report Variety. Now, the article also goes on to say that the woman told the PBS investigator that she laughed at the comment, but Smiley was serious. She also alleges that he left a voicemail on her cell phone exclaiming that she looked so good in the pink dress she wore to work. Eventually, the woman said she was let go, and some of her co-workers told her it was because she knew too much about Smiley's behavior. PBS went on to fire the former talk show host in December 2017 for violating his contract, although Smiley maintains he did nothing wrong. Smiley sued PBS last year for breach of contract. PBS turned around and countersued Smiley, demanding that he return the 1.9 million in production costs associated with his show. It also goes on to say that Smiley continues to deny the allegations and has instead accused PBS of racial bias and unnecessary reviews of his show budget. While he acknowledges he has had relationships with employees, he professed that those relationships were consensual and, as such, were not prohibited by the company's policy. Smiley case is set to go on trial February the 10th. His lawyers had tried to get the case thrown out through summary judgment, arguing Smiley's relationship preceded his contract with PBS. But DC Superior Court Judge Yvonne Williams found that PBS had more recent misconduct claims that fell within his contract period. Man, listen, you can go to the Griot to read the rest of this article. Um, but in a nutshell, it's like this. Women later have come out saying that Travis Smiley fired them, maybe because this is where I'm unclear, because sexually nothing happened.
No, they sexually they
Hold on, be
they
careful because
they agreed that a sexual relationship happened and it was consensual. However, they felt that they were fired or terminated by him, maybe because, well, one producer said he was having sexual relationship with other women. Others have said um, they didn't want to the the they didn't want to say no because then it would affect their jobs also. But nobody has said he forced me to have sex. Everyone has agreed that it was consensual.
So that's why I say, well, I didn't really want to jump in it. Well, because again, here on this show, what's understood don't need to be said. That's why I was saying, trying to set it up to where basically, because let's be
But Tabitha said, I didn't fire anyone because of the relationship that we had.
right.
I'm not even responsible for firing.
Right, and so
he was like, regardless of if we're having a relationship or not, if you're not performing well. But my thing is, Tavis is single. All consensual. The women consented to have sex with him. However, they also allege that it's the power play. He was my boss. I wanted to keep my job. I wanted to move further. So I felt like when he propositioned me, like one woman said, oh, he sent a message for me to come up to his hotel room to do work. If you're on a work trip, then yeah, you're going to do work in the hotel room. You're not going to oh, we're going to go to the office and do work. So she may not have thought anything when he's like, yeah, come up, we need to get ready. This is a work trip. So whatever work needs to be done, we'll do it tonight. And when he makes advances, She said, hey, I really like this job. I don't want to be fired from this job. She says, look, I worked really hard for this job and I'm not trying to lose it because of a relationship with you. The woman says Smiley promised her that she wouldn't lose her job because she was smart, but that the two of them needed to keep a secret because I'm your boss. Of course. If you're sleeping with the boss, you don't go around and tell everybody. That's like you say, what is known doesn't need to be said.
Right.
But the producer says she was later fired after other employees learned of the relationship, although she said she was told the official reason was work performance issues. Now she's saying, oh, other people found out that we were messing around. The official reason is work performance issues. She told investigators that she believes Smiley fired her because he was involved in multiple relationships with other subordinates. Tavis comes back and says, he has never terminated an employee after having a relationship with him, and he hasn't been in a relationship in the last 10 years.
So, first of all, this is a whole bag of mess.
It is.
And
it's a bag of he said, she said.
Well, not only that, where my problem lies with this whole situation is that you have PBS, who, what it seems like, was trying to find a reason to cancel the Tavis Smiley show. Mm-hmm. Because if there's a contract between Tavis Smiley, his media company, and PBS, what does it matter to you how I deal with my employees? Right. Because they're not your employees. Mm-hmm. These are people that I hired. And for whatever reason, I let them go. Mm-hmm. And Tavis is saying nowhere in my contract did it have my contract stipulated that I couldn't have relationships if I chose to meet somebody and pursue them, and it'd be a problem.
Right. And she happens to work for me because I am the boss.
Right.
Now, that may not be a good decision. That may be a bad judgment call because you don't shit where you eat. However, like you say, there was no law, nothing written in his contract that he couldn't pursue a relationship with someone who just happens to work with him. A lot of people work. Now, they keep it secret because you don't want favoritism, you don't want, it seems like your relationship interferes with your job performance. Outside of him being Tavis Smiley, what's the difference between him and someone a supervisor who applicants, they're more people that we like, whatever their reason is. It is their system. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones that own the team. Until a black millionaire owns a team, he can then say, I want a black coach. Until that happens, we are begging them to give us a seat at their table, and they aren't going to do it.
So you're saying
we're the creators of sweat, and ain't nobody buying sweat.
So you're saying, since you chose to be a coach on the NFL level,
yes,
that you already know that your chances are slim of becoming
a head coach. And when that happens, it's because they allowed it to happen. So until they allow it to happen, when coming in, you got to know that I know you are more than qualified. I know that's your desire. I know you're passionate about it. You may be passionate about your cause in their system. Again, you're begging them to give you a seat at their table. That's their table. So that's what's his name, Mr. Goodell? Isn't he the commissioner? That's his table. That's not your table.
Well,
Now, when a black millionaire buys a football team, then he can dictate what happens with that team. Listen, a black millionaire can come in and say, "This is my team, all black, everything." What is the commissioner gonna say? No, no. You can't tell me what to do with my team. He could come in and say, "I want all black everything, all black everywhere.
well,
I want to wear all black everything, because I own this team. I have the authority to say what I want to say. And if I don't want to abide the XFL, granted it is not as lucrative as the NFL, but you can't go in. That's like you coming into my house and telling me what you're gonna do. You can't come into my house and then not abide by my rules. You can't go into systems of oppression that we know aren't here to advance us and then demand to be advanced. That's just not. If it was so, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would have had a black coach a long, long, long time
well,
ago.
so I mean, we've had head coaches. The argument is, and in this case, and the reason why, this always happens.
Yeah,
Every time there are
head coach
opening
jobs. Yeah.
up
Right.
because or come up because at some point
Mm-hmm.
it's saying, okay, let's move beyond. You
Assistant
gotta
coaching.
you you're already forced to interview. Hence the reason why they have what they call the Rooney Rule.
Mm-hmm.
But let's move beyond that to where we start making these head coaching positions look like the teams that you're going to be coaching. In other words, every head coach shouldn't be white when you have nothing but black players.
Well, every head coaches will be white when all owners are white, right? All owners are white, right?
Yeah, except for the Jaguars.
Okay. And do they have a black head coach?
I don't know if they hired anybody, but I know they let somebody go.
Okay. So outside of the Jaguars, outside of the
Silver.
Jaguars.
Hey, listen! Shout out to everybody who's just now tuning back in. We literally had a camera update in the middle of the show, but we are back and rolling. First half of the show, while Silver is just sitting up here trying to overtake my show, we jumped into what was going on with Fort Worth. The Fort Worth police chief has authorized its police officers to dress in full uniform while they are attending their religious services. Then we also talked about Tavis Smalley. Me and the good doctor had a back and forth, where we agree on some things. Like I said, I feel like Tavis was a little bit low in his whole thing. Then we went into KB's throwback song of the day, which was The Whispers, Rock Steady. And now what we're jumping into and what we're talking about is to get everybody caught up who are just now tuned in on our video live stream is that um, black assistant coaches are getting fed up with having been snubbed for
years and years and years and years.
Years and years and years and years of being passed over for head coaching jobs. Um, what brought about this conversation this year with what's going on with all the head coaching hires is that Eric Bieniemy, who right now is um, a coach, assistant coach for, and I believe he's the quarterback coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, was supposed to interview for a show, who went on to not even get an interview because the New York Jets went on and hired the special team coordinator for that position. And for you guys who are watching again, if you're watching us live on our Facebook stream, if you're watching us live on our YouTube, if you're watching us on our Periscope, we want to really know what you guys think about it. What do you think about the years and years of black coaches being looked over or being hired to lead NFL teams. Um, the good doctor, gave her thoughts on it. Here are my thoughts on it. What I wonder, as an African American man who also faces the same issues, it does not have to do with football, but just in life. We all, as African American men, we have a different fight than white men.
Yeah.
We're not as privileged as white men are. That's why we call it white privilege. But I have to ask myself with these black coaches, in pursuing a coaching career that at the end of the day will more than likely won't land you a head coaching job in the NFL. Why are you setting yourself up for the heartbreak? Now, if you are a black coach who's content with being a college assistant,
Mm-hmm.
or a coach on the college level and just stuck at, assistant coordinator or offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coach, if you're fine in that position, great. But we all know that the money,
Is in
the endorsements
Mm-hmm.
go to the head coach of college football and NFL. Rarely will you hear assistant coach get a pat on the back unless his lineman or their position is doing a great job. Come here, Silver. Come on. You are really working my nerves, man, and we're trying to get through this show. It's already 4 o'clock and we really supposed to be ending. But hey, this is the fun part of when you have your own show. You can do what you want and have your 3-month old literally
taking over the show.
Because right now, if you're watching the live, all you see is this big ass head over over my laptop. But as long as he's doing well, that's fine. But again, I have to ask. First of all, if you know the odds against you, why try to pursue something that you're more than likely won't obtain? That's my question. Because as the good doctor said, you playing in a field of sharks. I said that about Obama. Yeah. You trying to play fair
in a field of sharks.
In a pool of sharks.
That's a good way of saying it.
Knowing that they're going to be cutthroat, in this case with Eric Bieniemy, because that's where this story is basically derived from. We also had a tweet that says, I wish we could say, this is from Stuart Mandel, and I'm reading tweets from this article. It says, I wish we could say college is more progressive, but so far 2 black coaches hired for 17 FBS openings. And so different. What we have to realize is that you in a country club of nothing but white men, and you're at the door of the country club. Let me in. Mm-hmm. Now, what are you asking to be let into?
Their country club.
Right. What are you asking to be let into? You're asking to be let into
their country club.
Well, not. I wasn't gonna say that. What I was gonna say was the financial come up from being a part of that country club. Mm-hmm. You're asking to be let into the endorsements that come from, again, being a head coach. Just a whole different avenue when you get on that level. It's sad that this happened. It's sad that I hate that in 2020 we have to have a rule no different than affirmative action to protect me. And for you as a black man who's coaching in college and in the NFL, more so in the NFL, they have to have a rule set just to make sure that they interview. Otherwise, they will look over you every time. Now, I understand the passion of these men who want to coach on the college level, high school, NFL. I would never tell black men to stop fighting for progress. I would never do that because I'm a black man. And I believe that somebody has to fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where we have come so far, we still haven't came enough.
Yeah.
We're still fighting some fight. I understand why people don't want to get into a fight because the truth is it is tiring over and over with these type of platforms, and I'm nobody. But to have created a platform to fight the good fight,
Mm-hmm.
to bring up these issues, it does get tired.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Why am I not built? Say in 2020, 19, you know, 2019, 2020, you know, that's the new thing, getting to the bag. Why am I concerned about my people? You get what I'm saying? That becomes tiring when you don't see the progress. And in this case, with the NFL, we have what we see time and time again. There was supposed to be an African American brother who was supposed to be interviewing for the Cowboys position. Well, we know that the Cowboys went on to hire the former head coach for Green Bay Packers. So they never interviewed a black person. They never interviewed a black coach. So they literally talked, I forgot, McCarthy.
Was he working anywhere?
Who?
McCarthy.
No.
He was home.
Shit, as far as I know. Mm-hmm. But they went on to say, well, okay, we're going to hire you. I even went to social media to say, listen, we know the Cowboys. The Cowboys are the Cowboys. They are not going to hire a black man to.
You think Jerry has any black friends? Or he just knows black?
No. And we've had this conversation before about this whole black friend thing.
Jerry has any
Listen, men like him or people that think like him, because we talked about this with Bernie Sanders and remember the comment he made during the town hall meeting. Yeah. Because the argument on the show was, well, that don't mean he doesn't have black friends, because B-Rock was saying, well, he could have black friends. No, you can't have black friends making the statement you make. I don't think Jerry don't have black friends. I think who he considers his black friends are the people that
he pays.
Right. Because so his black friend might be Michael Irvin, but they played for you.
Right. They're still in a position of inferiority too.
Well, right, they in your circle. They're not your friends. They were business with you. It was business.
And he can always say, "Boy, I signed your check."
Emmitt Smith, he probably would consider his friend.
Boy, I signed your checks.
But as far as people that are in his circle of friends, when you look in the box, you don't see African American men sitting with him in the box. Right. That's telling. Oh, they might have another box, or they might be sitting in their suite, but they're not sitting with you at your table. No. So do he have black friends? More than likely he does not. No. Because what do I need with a black friend? That's any rich white. What do I need with a black friend other than that person conforming to me? We had the conversation about the two black or the people out of Houston who went back and forth. Remember the guy who found out that the little old chick called him a nigger in a text, and I went on to say, a lot of your black Republicans are too busy trying to prove that they're not like the other black folks, that they can't really be themselves. It's no different than Condoleezza Rice, you know, all of them in general. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, even with what we're talking about right now with the NFL, sadly, the game is rigged for you. Mm-hmm. Sadly, a lot of these owners do not want a black man as a representation, no different than a black quarterback. Right. Because I said this at my grandfather's house over the holidays, and we had this issue in what we call barbershop talk. We all outside, and we were holding this conversation. And we were talking about Kaepernick and why Kaepernick doesn't have a job. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a job not because of his ability, But I put this on their minds. I want to put this on my listeners' mind when it comes to black coaches, when it comes to black quarterbacks, when it comes to black general managers, a position of leadership and power. This is what I want you to think about. Your owners are white, correct? A lot of these owners see those positions as a representative of them. And I asked, what was this? New Year's. This is when we was over with my grandparents. And I asked my grandfather and my dad and my cousins who were holding this conversation. Now, this was regarding Kaepernick, and we can put this toward any position of leadership in the NFL in black men. Who do these black men represent? These owners don't see you as a representative of me. What's the quarterback for the Patriots? What is his name? Tom Brady has had longevity in one on one team. No shit, he's like 41, 42. Tom Brady has had longevity on one team because the owner sees him as a representative of me. In contrast with Kaepernick, and I asked him, I said, well, who does Kaepernick represent for an owner? Who does he represent? Because see, you have a patriarchy. Say that. Patriarchy. Please, forgive me. Patriarchy. Owner, general manager, or owner, vice president, or whatever. General manager, head coach, quarterback, team. Who do these men represent? You're not getting these coaching positions and you're not becoming quarterback and you're not becoming general managers because the owners don't see you as a representative of themselves. Because see, you gonna know the coach and quarterback before you know about the general manager. Right. They're in the public. And so when Kaepernick is talking, you're representing me as an owner. And that's how they see themselves. And even with the owners, that's how they see themselves. So that's why you're not in the position to get the head coaching. And even when you become the head coach, your time and your results, that timeline is totally different for you.
Look what they did to the guy from Dallas.
Damn, Dallas. We can go to. I'm a fan of Notre Dame. An avid fan of Notre Dame University. They had a black coach. Maybe I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. He did 2 years. They let him go. My other college team is the University of Texas. Strong, who was the head coach for the University of Texas. I think he was a coach. He only coached there 2 years before they let him go on a 5-year contract. Now the brother got his money.
He doesn't have a job.
But you had a job. But you had a comfortable job when you were at the University of Louisville. See, sometimes as coaches and as black men, you need to know if it's really worth it to move. He took a more procedure for what they call it. I'm so all over the place, tongue tied. A prestigious coaching job at Texas versus Louisville, but it costs you more in the end. Because see, you could have rolled out in Louisville because you was building the team up. That's where your quarterback that plays right now at Baltimore come from. See, he built that team. Louisville was if you ain't never been to Louisville University, let me tell you how it is.
Is that in Kentucky?
It's in Kentucky. If you ever been to the town of Louisville, there's absolutely nothing in Louisville. How do I know? Because I've been to the University of Louisville. I've been to the city of Louisville. There's nothing in there. If you're driving, you're going to just drive straight through it. All you have, because these are, just like any of your major colleges, that's the biggest draw in their town. Now, somebody might say, well, you got the Kentucky Derby, but I don't think that's in Louisville though. But in as far as sports, they were building up that school. He came in, you know, first year they did okay. They went on to eventually, I think, under him, get an opportunity to play in the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is you thought it would be more lucrative because it did pay more money.
Of course.
But then you got to say, well, is it really worth the money? Because in the end, they let you go because that's a school with a different type of demand. That's a school who legacy and history in football is different from Louisville. You get what I'm saying? So now in hindsight, he could say, you know what? It really wasn't worth it because they cut me out of Texas, but I could have retired in Louisville. And so for a lot of you coaches, what I'm saying is that sometimes you got to think about the position you in. If you already know, you know, my limit right now in the NFL until something drastically changes that of an assistant coach.
Right.
You should really never hold the conversation about they don't give black coaches opportunities. We already know they don't.
Right.
So leave that alone.
This is their table. They're not giving seats though.
And they're not giving seats. Oh, we'll give you an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. We'll let you sit behind us.
Right. We'll let you get all the experience.
Yeah.
We'll let you, you know, we'll give you praises for making these men great players in their positions.
Yeah.
But right now, we don't see what you do as important.
We don't see you as a representative of us.
Right.
And
that in a nutshell. We don't see you as a representative of us.
That's a good point you made.
So again, if you guys are watching us on our social media page, you know, let us know what you think about that. But with that being said, man, we're gonna go on and wind up this show with our last story of the day. And again, please forgive us for the technical difficulties. When you are doing your own shit,
and the baby,
and I have my son Silver, you know, who's made himself a part of today's show.
Every show.
Right now, we're gonna look a little raggedy.
No, we're not.
Pray for us because again, this is organic.
Yeah.
It's independent.
It's very organic and independent.
And I've seen worse at the end of the goddamn day.
Yeah.
So again, if you love us for the content and what we bring as the Petty Crew Podcast Radio Show. And so let's go on and end it on a petty note.
Yeah.
Because again, we are petty. Old Tyler Perry is back in the news. On Instagram. And this is from News One. And the article is entitled, Bruh, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry's support for black writers is questioned after he brags about his original script. And so let me go on and get to the meat of this conversation. And it really is this. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. Wow, this boy just slobbing all over my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyler Perry goes on and says this. He says, I don't know if you know this, but all shows on television that are writer's room, and most of the time there are 10 people, 12, whatever, that write on the television show. Perry said in the interview, I have no room. I have no writer's room. Nobody writes any of my work. I write it all. He also goes on to say, stop pushing keys, little boy. He also goes on to say, in the video, Perry pans to his multiple scripts, including The Have and the Have Nots, Sisters, and upcoming shows Bruh and Ruthless. I wrote all these scripts by myself in 2019, he said in the video. What's my point? Work ethic. Mm-hmm. Many people in Perry's comment section praised his efforts. However, there were other folks in the comments and across Twitter who had critiques. And boy, you done did something to my damn screen because I can't even scroll down. You done slobbed on it or something. It says some users also pointed out that Tyler Perry doesn't have the best history of supporting TV writers. No, let me go back up. One Twitter user wrote, "How you have the largest black-owned studio in Atlanta and no writers room,
Right.
no black writers, and then have the nerve to flex that as if you're not watering down your own accomplishments." Tyler Perry irks the living hell out of me. Some users also pointed out that Tyler Perry doesn't have the best history of supporting TV writers. Back in 2008, he fired 4 writers from his show, House of Pain, reportedly because they were trying to get a union contract with Tyler Perry's production company, according to Deadline. The Writers Guild of America West released a statement at the time reading, "The 4 writers, Kelly Griffin, Christopher Moore, Terry Brown Jackson, and Lamont Farrell, as well as uh, supporters from the Writers Guild and the community, will be picketing during Saturday's opening of Perry's new studio, and they are asking invited guests to respect their picket line. Together, these writers have written over 100 episodes of House of Pain. Since April of this year, they have been involved in a union organizing campaign with the Writers Guild of America. West so that their work on the show and the upcoming Meet the Brown will be covered by the Guild contract. Despite the enormous success of House of Pain, Perry has refused to agree to a contract that would give the writers health care, pension, and residuals. On Tuesday of this week, he fired the writers after warning them some weeks ago that they should be careful about pushing the WGA deal or you could be replaced. Now, let's get into some of these tweets and we go on and get into our little commentary. One tweet says Tyler Perry has no writer's room for any of his shows. He writes them all himself, then directs them. While folks congratulate that, I'm saddened. All that space and opportunity for young up and coming writers to work, grow yet.
Mm-hmm.
Then another quote, I love these tweets, man. One thing about Twitter, they go ham. I be really wondering how the hell they find these tweets. Another tweeter says, he sounds like the dude who makes all his own average beats to keep all the money.
True.
That shit is true.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the truest tweets I read. Another Twitter says, "LOL, Tyler Perry just putting out anything." That's true too.
Mm-hmm.
Another Twitter says, a tweet says, "Well, that would explain a lot. And Tyler Perry get help."
Right.
That would too. Another person writes, Tyler Perry was doing so well, man. That writer's room video was awful, especially when there's tons of black writers looking for TV writing gigs.
Mm-hmm.
Think of how much more he could accomplish if he actually employed 10 people per project. Not to mention how many careers he'd help.
True.
Now, one of them I'm trying to find that really stuck out for me, where it talks about, nah, you're really pumping up your ego. Where is that? Man really, I think it says, man really created his amazing studio space to produce Sisters and more disappointingly, The Oval, please. Also, to find out he fired his writer's room back in 2008, 2009 because they were unionizing speaks volume. This is for Tyler Perry, not for the black folks.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Perry, bro, has me on the floor. Work ethic, come on, let's go get 2020. Man has a show titled, bro. The creativity jumped out the window, that is. Listen, these folks were really brutal
Yeah.
when it came to their critique of Tyler Perry, and so I can go on and on with these tweets. They're basically all pretty much the same. So before I get my little commentary and Silver weigh in,
That's his commentary.
let me know what your thoughts are, the good doctor.
Um, Only a fool thinks he needs no help. So, whereas we can applaud Tyler Perry for creating this black studio paying homage to black actors, apparently he's the only black making all the money, keeping all the money, having all the money. So it's kind of tongue in cheek that he paid homage to all these black actors and actresses who paved the way, and he's not paving the way. So I think it's like a tongue in cheek kind of thing.
Well, I believe in his eyes,
He
he
said,
feels.
I built a studio, but for me, because I'm the only writer of all these shows. I'm the producer of all these shows. I'm the director of all these shows. I'm everything for all these shows. So basically, he built a studio for anybody else. So I think it's tongue in cheek that he paid homage to black actors and actresses who paved the way for other people. Hey, if I'm on here, let me see if I can get all my other black coworkers on. He's not doing that.
Well, I see I see a couple of things going on with Tyler Perry. I see a man who is attempting to say, well, I do help the black community because I employ black actors and actresses,
Right.
and I'm giving them jobs.
Right.
Um, I have a studio, and I'm giving jobs to
True.
black people.
Right. I'm not
So I
creating,
think in his
but I'm not
mind,
creating any opportunities
but hold
for
on.
them.
Well, then I see, ooh, oh, Silver. Oh, Lord. So you gonna just get in daddy's lap and just say, you know what?
I'm gonna let it be.
I'm gonna just let it all go.
That's his commentary.
You done made me hot up in here.
Oh,
I'm sweating. I really want to just sit you on this goddamn couch. So as I was saying with Tyler Perry, then I see the self-centeredness, as I told you earlier, during the week. The egotistical black elitists.
Yeah.
Because see, in your mind, because see, you know how we are with our mind. We can think we doing something, and we can put our head up there, you know. Well, but I created this studio, and I'm doing black shows, and
Right.
I'm catering to black people. And my argument would be, no, you just created a niche to collect a check. It would be no different than your plays. You found a niche, and you just tailored yourself to us. But then I see like I said, the black elitists, the ego, the self-centeredness when you do and do stuff like what you did with the video, trying to let everybody know. Because see, I'm still lost as what do you being the writer of all your shows, as the producer of all your shows, have to do with work ethic.
Yeah.
And I have to call Tyler Perry out on this bullshit because I peep game when he, like I told you earlier during the week, when you put it out there that you paid for the layaways, I think in Atlanta.
Right, at the Walmart.
At the Walmart. But your reasoning behind it was, I wanted to jump on the story before anybody looked it out. And like I said then, the only people that would have known that you did it were the people that worked in that back area.
Yeah.
Because you're probably not a stranger to Walmart. Because I'm sure, because rich people are cheap, don't get it twisted. They buy their wine from Costco, Sam's.
And they shop at Walmart.
They shop at Walmart. They shop at Costco. They shop at the outlets. They just know where to put their money at. Again, now that's a whole other conversation. However, with Tyler Perry, you showed your hand to me when nobody didn't care that you paid for layaways. And if it was all about doing it in silent movement, you wasn't silent when you have a following of 1 million some folks. It was saying, look at me, this is what I did.
What I'm doing.
When the truth is if you were really humble, you would have let the people who probably saw you pay, let them be the ones to say, listen, man, I was at work. You wouldn't believe what just happened. Tyler Perry just set up here and paid the layaways of everybody we have set up.
Mm-hmm.
Because the praise wouldn't have been coming from you.
It
would have been coming from others.
Right.
Now, with this whole writers thing, and again, in this business, and how I know you really don't care about the well-being, and sadly, as Monique was saying, you showed it when you fired your 4 writers.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they wanted is what you didn't want to give them a piece of. The truth is for this brother, it don't have nothing to do with work ethic. It has everything to do with, as a person on Twitter said, no, in a nutshell, you just want to keep all the money to yourself. Because see, that producer check is a separate check. That writer's check is a separate check.
Right.
You buying these shows are a separate check. Me producing, you giving me a budget is a separate check. So what you're doing is hoarding all the money, instead of, as somebody pointed out, giving people opportunity to share in their financials. Now, I didn't know about I think I heard about the union thing a while back. It probably hit the news. You know how black news is. But again, that's the second part of it that's telling that regardless of your color, you do business. You are a what they call crude or shrewd businessman. Because you will let 4 writers go who are helping you become successful with the House of Pain Go, because you don't want to give them residual income on the show, because you're going to ask for residual from the show. Right. You can afford a pension, but you don't want to give them a pension. Right. And I'm sure these people are saying, you know what, if I was writing for Friends, if I was writing for any one of these white mainstream shows, Blackish, it doesn't matter. This network, more than likely, I would be working up under a union and under a union contract to have this job. And dealing with you as a black man, you would tell me, oh, I'm going to let y'all go, then turn around and spend all that money. So Tyler Perry, man, for me, it's a no-no. It makes Monique's argument more valid.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I'm going to end with this because Silver is really being a butthole because he's literally just boo-boo.
He's done with baby.
The former mother of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the first mother, she did a live video and she talked about Jada Pinkett Smith and she wanted black folks and people. Yeah, I know. Wanted black people to boycott, I think, the Oscars.
Yeah.
Because Will Smith, either movie or something, was not a part of the nomination. And she comes out and she says, listen, how you go advocate for something when you're a part of the same system?
Yeah.
And she goes on to say, well, y'all only work with y'all. Y'all only make movies with y'all buddies. Let's look at it. And I'm gonna end because he's just really on one. Bad Boys. Who did he bring in new for Bad Boys 3? What movies have Will Smith been a part of where he's really been working with different people? You're not gonna find many. And so again, with Tyler Perry, his whole self-righteousness and want us to believe that it's really all about work ethic. In a nutshell, it's wrapped up in his ego. It's wrapped up in the fact that he'd rather keep all the money than open doors for other writers and producers. He don't want the headache of dealing with other people because just like people like him, they want it done how they want it done. And as the old saying goes, if you want something done, do it yourself. And so what he's saying, telling us is I'd rather do it myself than me bring in creative minds. With that being said, man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to today's show. Again, please forgive us for the streaming malfunction that we had. We literally had a um, camera update in the middle of us doing our show. You know, that's the power of technology. It kind of worked like that. Please make sure you go to our YouTube page, press that subscribe button. We want you guys to be able to watch us live. Um, it's not often that we're on Facebook. Again, Facebook is a little funny with us multi-streaming, and we want to be able to live stream on more than just Facebook. Um, so again, if you are watching us on Facebook, make sure you go to our YouTube channel because that is where we are doing our live streams from. Facebook must be cool today because typically they really don't allow us to do it. They will really block it. So again, um, go to all our social media pages, Twitter, Instagram. If you would like to support us, we do have a Patreon account that I rarely talk about. You can become a member, a monthly subscriber for as low as I believe $5 to $10. Every level comes with different perks, but if it is being placed on your heart for you to support the Petty Crew, support what we're doing, help us build because um, everything we do come out of our pockets. If you would like to sponsor us, you are more than welcome to. All you have to do is send us a message on one of our uh, social media platforms. You can do that. With that being said, man, our final thoughts are going to be left with Omar Johnson.
Don't jumping up and down on the bed. I thought you was sleeping. Don't get back on the bed jumping up and down. Don't jump up and down on the bed.
Yo, what's good, everybody? We are wrapping up our show. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We are in the middle of an audio from Dr. Omar Johnson. Uh, so again, go like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, go follow us on Twitter, go follow us on Instagram to stay up to date. Again, thank you guys for tuning in for today.